Hey everybody, Lex DeVille back for another lesson on advanced proposal writing. But we're actually in tactics and techniques right now, so we're going to check out some secret squirrel info gathering stuff. Basically, it's some things that I'm looking for in the profile that help me to get in rapport, to help me even know if I want to apply to this gig in the first place. Stuff that's telling me, is this a good client, and is there anything I can use to find out if I want to work with this person, if they're how I can approach them in my proposal, just different things I can say, and other cool stuff like that. So there's 8 things that I've listed out, and you can kind of see the little graphic on the screen, but we're just going to go through these real quick. So the first thing is going to be the headline. The headline has to kind of catch my attention. Usually it's got to have keywords. That's number 1, is their headline. It needs to catch my attention. It needs to be something that says, like, screams out to me, this is the one. This is the gig that, depending on what it says once you click on this gig, it's probably the one for you, Lex, and you're going to like it. So something, I don't know, let's say back when I was working for a lot of coaches, I might look for life coach copywriter needed. So I'm a guy who writes copy for coaches, and that's what they need. I'm going to click on that because that's going to look like, that's good info, right? That looks like something I might be interested in. So that's the first part. Number 2 is getting into the body of their proposal. So some things I'm looking for whenever I'm looking at these proposals, I'm gathering info. I want to know, first of all, is their proposal long or short? Because I like to work with people who write short, or not proposals, I always say proposals. I like to write and work for people who have short job posts. Those people are usually high level, they're big picture thinkers. They just want to hand over the work to someone who's going to get it done. And I look for other things in here. I look for how much detail they put into it. Even short proposals sometimes have a lot of detail. If there's a lot of, like, if I feel like they're going to be a micromanager based on they're saying they need this and this and this and this, and they've got a deadline coming up, they need this tomorrow. If they, especially deadlines, if they say they need this right now, that's a no-go for me. I'm not going to do that. So I'm looking for anything that even hints that they're a micromanager, or that other things, maybe that they think they know more about this than other people. So if they say, I'm a copywriter, so I know what copywriting is, and I'm looking for a copywriter to work for me, that's a no-go for me. I don't want to work for someone who already thinks they know everything and that's going to be breathing down my neck with this stuff. So I look for questions. I look for them to create value in the body of their job post. If they're trying to create value in some way for the freelancer, that's awesome. That's a really good sign. That's good info you can pull out. But other stuff you can pull out, you can look at their words. What sensory language are they using? Are they using sound or sight words? Are they saying, if this sounds like you might be a fit, then you know that they're thinking in terms of sound in the moment. You might be able to use that for mirroring their language later on. If you want to say, hey, if any of this sounds good to you, then go ahead and contact me. That would kind of be mirroring them a little bit, like we talked about before, to get in rapport. Sight words would be, I'm looking for a copywriter, and you say you're looking for a copywriter. So now you're mirroring them, you're using their sensory words. You can find out stuff like that. If they're talking about analytical terms, we'll talk about this more in the personality section, but analytical terms, if they're saying stuff like analysis or computing or calculations, they might be more of a logical thinker. So that's something you can find out from their job post, and that's good information because you can use that language when you write your proposal. If they're using a lot of emotion words, if they're saying they're a spiritual coach and they're really into connection and they speak from the heart, that's going to be emotional words. You might want to use more of those. And you've always, of course, got your action word people, your doers. They're going to be constantly speaking from a place of action. So I'm ready to move forward with this as soon as possible. If you're a copywriter who can kick down the door with your words, then reach out and apply to my gig. They're going to talk about kicking stuff down or punching through walls or just action words. Any kind of action word, that's something you would want to look for. These are just little subtle things that give you hints into who this person is, and it helps you write your proposal because you can then use that information to not approach from your own worldview, but to approach from their worldview. And that's everything. If you can get inside their mind, if you can think like they think, if you can see the world the way they see the world as best as possible, they're going to feel like you are like them. And they like people who are like them. We like people who are like us. So let's move on. Number 3 and 4 on this list are the fixed price. Is it a fixed price rate or is it hourly? If it's a fixed price, I'm kind of looking at the amount. So like I'm looking at the amount and I'm looking at that compared to the little number signs. If it's got one number sign, if it's got $1 sign, then they want a low budget freelancer. If it's got two number signs, then they want moderate. And if it's three, then they want to pay higher prices. Well, I want to look at this and I want to say, does this person, first of all, does the amount make sense for the amount of work that they're asking for? If not, then I'm not going to work with this person. I don't need to apply to this gig in the first place. But let's say that matches up. Did they put a $1 sign or did they put $2 signs? This is important to me. So usually I go for $3 signs because I like people who are going to pay higher rates. Sometimes though, I'll go with $1 sign because those people, sometimes they're really big businesses. They just don't know what they're doing on Upwork. They don't know what to put. So they put the $1 sign, but then you get in there, you pitch them a high rate and they accept and you're golden. Now, I don't very often apply to gigs that have $2 signs, and I'll tell you why. When a client has $2 signs, they're indicating that they don't want the lowest price freelancers, but they also don't want to pay higher prices. And even when you shoot them a moderate price, they're going to think that it's a high price. And this is all, what this really comes down to is they want to pay low prices, but internally, which would be here, maybe here, internally, they don't want to feel like a cheap wad, a tight wad. They don't want to feel like a cheapskate client. So they put $2 signs and it makes them feel like they're paying a little bit more. They're willing to pay a little bit more. They're not looking for the lowest freelancers, but what they're really looking for is the best of the best of the best freelancers, and they don't want to pay you anywhere near what the best is worth. So I don't apply to those people very often. Number 5 is going to be their star rating. If they have anything below 4, not working with them. If it's 4 and some change, I'll at least look through their reviews. I'll see what other freelancers said about the client. I want to make sure that they're a good fit, that they're not a piece of crap, that people like working with them and stuff like that. But preferably 4.5 and above. Those are the kind of clients who are going to leave you good feedback. Now, whenever I look at this, I also look at their reviews, the clients' reviews they left for the freelancers. If they leave less than 5 stars regularly for other freelancers, I'm not going to work with them at all because I don't want to get anything less than 5 stars. And if they have a habit of doing that, they're probably going to give you less than 5 stars when you work for them also. So I wouldn't chance it. What are we on? Number 6. So I look at their total spent. If they haven't spent more than $5,000, not going to work with them in most cases, unless they've spent like nothing and I can tell they're a big business. I don't want to work with people who are below 5,000. Usually they're startup businesses. They spend a lot of like little stuff here and there. They spend money here and there. It's usually over a year or so and they build up to 5,000. They're not legit businesses. And a lot of the time they don't want to pay you higher rates. They don't value your work and it's just a mess. So I'm particularly looking for like 10 grand or above, but sometimes 10 grand can still be a pretty small business. If you get 50 grand or above, then you're pretty golden. I think 10 grand is a good baseline. So if you can find businesses who have 10 grand spent, that's pretty good. We've got hourly rates. This is a big one. So even if they have $50,000 spent, if their average hourly rate is showing $5 an hour, $3 an hour, $1 an hour, that's a problem. And you don't want to waste your time applying to a gig like that because that gig is not going to produce any kind of passion fruit for you. It is not going to be a moneymaker. They want to pay the lowest freelancers possible. They want to pay the lowest amounts. So I wouldn't go with that. I'm looking for, if they've got $20, something around the $20 range plus, they're probably going to pay medium rates. They'll pay you as high as $49 an hour, probably $50 an hour. If they regularly average $30 to $37 an hour or more, they'll pay whatever rates you want. Assuming you get them on a call, and go through the whole call process, all that stuff. The last thing I got on here is just that they're from the United States. I like to work with people from the United States. You can work with people from your country. I work with people from a specific location because I find that in my location, I have a better experience with people from the United States. Certain other countries, I've found patterns, and other people have confirmed this, that I think it's just cultural differences. People have cultural differences and they approach the world differently, and that can pan out into less than fruitful gigs. So that's all I've got for this lesson. This is just some info gathering stuff to help you figure out if this gig is even worth applying to. I don't even know that this should be down in the tactics and techniques section. I'll probably move it up into the other section. But that's all I got for this lesson. See me in the next one. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff, and I will see you there.